Good morning, pupils. How are you all this morning? Today we'll be considering a new topic. Actually, it's a continuation of our last topic. Last week we did fractions, so today we're going to continue from where we stopped. And today we'll be discussing equivalent fraction. Equivalent fraction. Cool. As I've told you, today we'll be considering equivalent fraction. Remember last week we did how to convert from mixed number to improper fraction. We also did how to convert from improper fraction back to mixed number. Then we did addition of like fraction. So today we continue from where we stopped last week and we'll be considering equivalent fraction. What are equivalent fraction? Equivalent fraction means equal fraction. Equivalent means equal. So equivalent fraction means equal fractions. Then we look at these examples. The first one is write the first four equivalent fractions of 1 over 2. This is a fraction, so we are writing the first four. That's the first four fraction of 1 over 2. So if you want to do that, what you need to do is that you write out your fraction, which is what 1 over 2. Remember, we are writing the first four. So this is the number 1. Number 2 will be what? Times 2. So you multiply your numerator and your denominator. So that will give us what? 2 times 1 will give us what? 2. 2 times 2 will give us what? 4. That's the second fraction. To get the third fraction, we use the first fraction multiplied by 3. 1 over 2 times 3 times 3. That will give us what? 3 times 1 will give us what? 3. 3 times 2 will give us what? 6. This is the third fraction. And to get the fourth fraction, that will be 1 over 2 times 4 times 4. 1 times 4 will give us what? 4 over 4 times 2 will give us 8. Then we now write out our answers. The first fraction here is what? 1 over 2. Now say 1 over 2 is equals to. Now when you are writing equivalent fraction, you use what? Equal to sign. And this equal to sign means that this fraction is equal to the next fraction. All the fractions there are the same. So 1 over 2, and what was our second fraction? That's what? 2 over 4. What was our third fraction? We got to what? 3 over 6. And the last fraction, we got to what? 4 over 8. So here now it means that 1 over 2 is the same thing as 2 over 4, the same thing as 3 over 6, and the same thing as what? 4 over 8. Okay. The second example says write the first 3 equivalent fractions of 2 over 3. Please take note of this. The first 3 equivalent fraction of 2 over 3. Definitely these are first fractions. So we are going to look for the other 3 fractions. So you write out your first fraction, that's what? 2 over what? 3. Now to get the second fraction, I told you that you multiply by 2. You're getting the second fraction multiplied by what? 2. That what? 2 times 2 will give us what? 4 over what? 2 times 3 will give us what? 6. So this is our second fraction. And to get the third fraction, we write our first fraction, that's 2 over 3 times, we are getting the third fraction now, that's what? Times 3 times 3. 2 times 3 will give us what? 6. 3 times 3 will give us what? 9. Here now we can see that we have our first 3 equivalent fractions. The first one is this, the second one is this, and the third one is what? This. Then we now write it down. Now say the first 3 equivalent fractions are 2 over 3 equals to 4 over 6 equals to 6 over 9. It means that 2 over 3 is the same thing as 4 over 6 and the same thing as what? 6 over 9. Cool. Okay, now as you can see, this is another dimension of this part of this topic. The example says that the instruction says find the missing numbers. We are finding the missing numbers of these equivalent fractions. Now if you look at these 2 fractions, one part is missing, one numerator is missing This numerator is given and the two denominators are given, but this numerator is what is missing. So what we're going to do to get this numerator. Now, what you're going to do first is you're going to consider the two fractions. Here now, since this place is missing, so you leave your numerator and consider the denominators. You have your denominators here to be 3 and here is what? 6. So what you're going to do, you compare the two. Since this one is bigger than this, so what will you do to get 6? What will you multiply to 3 with 3, to get what? 6. So if you multiply 2 with 3, you get what? 6, because 3 times 2 will give us 6. So whatsoever you multiply with your denominator, that same number you're going to multiply it with your what? Your numerator. And I told you that to get 6, you're going to multiply 2 with 3 to get what? 6. So what you do here is multiply by what? 2. 3 times 2 will give us what? 6. And I told you that whatsoever you multiply with your denominator here, that's the same number or digit you multiply with your what? Numerator. So you multiply same 2 with your what? Numerator. That will be 2 times 2 will give us what? 4. And 2 times 3 will give us what? 6. So therefore, the missing number here is what? 4. And to confirm it, 2 over 3 is equals to what? 4 over 6. You can write it out. 2 over 3 is equals to what? 4 over 6. Go. That's right. Okay. So we are still finding the missing number here. We are finding the denominator here. Number 3 we found the numerator, and here we are finding the what? The denominator. Now we need to compare now. Our numerators, the two numerators are given. Here one denominator is given and we are finding the second denominator. So we are not going to consider these two because we are looking for the denominator. So we are going to consider our numerators. Now here under here is 4 and here is what? 12. So you see that 4 is lesser than 12. 12 is bigger than 4. So the next thing we're going to do is to look for what to divide 12 with that will give us what? 4. You look for a number that we use to divide 12 that will give us what? 4, because 12 is bigger than 4. So we're going to look for a number to divide 12 with to give us what? 4. So what's that number that will divide 12 with? And the answer will be what? 3. 12, when you divide 12 by 3, it will give us what? 4. And I told you that whatsoever thing that you're using here, and that's the same thing you use to divide your denominator. If you use 2 to divide your numerator, you use the same 2 to divide your denominator. If you're using 4 to divide your numerator, you use 4 to divide your denominator. Here now we use 3 to divide our numerator here. So we're going to use 3 to divide our denominator. 12 divided by 3 will give us what? 4. Then 15 divided by 3. 15 divided by 3. When you count 15, you circle it 3, it will give us what? 5. So now you can now write out your answer and say 4 over 5. We've gotten 5 here is the same as what? 12 over 15. It means 4 over 5 is equivalent to 12 over 15. Okay, number 5 question. We are still finding the missing number. You can see here is not given and we have our denominator. The other fraction, we have our numerator to be 18 and our denominator to be 24. Now let us compare. We have the two denominators given and one of the numerators is given. So we're going to leave this one aside and consider the two denominators. 4 is here and 24 is here. You compare the two, you discover that this side is smaller than this side. 4 is smaller towards 24. So the next thing you do is to look for a number that you use to divide 24 that will give you what? 4. You look for a particular number or a digit that you divide 24 with that will give you what? 4. Then what is that number that you divide 24 with that will give you what? 4. You use what? 6. 24 divided by 6 to give us what? 4. That's why I told you that we need to learn our multiplication table. When you divide 24 by what? 6, it will give you what? 4. And remember that whatsoever you use here is what you're going to use here, and that's how we've been doing it. So you are still going to divide your numerator with what? 6. So when you divide 18 by 6, you count your 18, you circle it 6, 6, 6, 6, you will get what? 3. 18 divided by 6 will give you what? 3. You can now write out your answer and say 3 over 4 is equivalent to what? 18 over 24. And this is the last example for today, and that's number 6. So these are the two fractions. This 12 over 15, and this other fraction, the denominator is not given. So what are we going to do to get this denominator? So remember, I told you we're going to consider the numerators, because here we are finding this denominator. So we're going to consider the numerators. So since here is bigger than this 12, 36 is bigger than 12, what you do is to look for a number to multiply to 12 that will give us what? 36. You look for a number that you multiply to 12 that will give us what? 36. And what's that number? We use what? 3. 12 times 3, you can see 12 times 3 will give us what? 36. So when you multiply 12 and 3, it will give us 36. And I told you what you use is what you're going to use as here too. So 15 times 3 will give us what? Multiplied somewhere. 15 times 3, 5 times 3, that's 15, carry 1. 3 times 1, 3 plus 1, that's what? 4. Your answer will be what? 45. You can see our final answer will be what? 336 over what? 45. You now see, therefore, 12 over 15 is equivalent to 36 over 45. Good. Okay, people, I hope you all understand the explanation. If you miss out on any explanation, just take it back and catch up with that explanation. And I'm going to drop your assignments and your classwork on the platform. Please ensure that you do it and meet up with the time that I will allocate for your assignment and for your classwork. See you some other time. Bye.